All right, about to go live. Gonna be talking about the some new Twitter drama. Um, Feel free to share out the stream, and we'll get started in just a second. So we are live streaming the demise of Twitter this morning. It's slow motion, but it is very interesting, kind of to see what happens when a corporation is falling apart. So let's take it to this morning's news. So this morning, Leah Kisner, uh, the CISO, so Chief Information Security Officer of Twitter, posted to their personal Twitter, stating the following: that they have been made to come to this hard decision to leave Twitter. They have the opportunity to work with lots of great people, yada, yada, yada. Look forward to figuring out their next steps, all that good stuff, right? Leaves their contact information for their other coworkers, and they're out. So, of course, when we're talking about cybersecurity, and especially in the modern world of Twitter, disinformation is a major question. So, this week we saw Twitter roll out their new verification system where anyone can purchase this little white check mark next to Leah Kisner's name. And we actually don't immediately know if this is the real Leah Kisner. So most of the stream is about how do we verify information on Twitter today, and whether or not that maybe had some role to play in why people like Leah Kisner might choose to leave a company like Twitter. So if this is something that you're excited about, share out the stream. Be sure to give my channel a follow. Look in the down below area for ways to support this channel so I can keep making cool content about breaking news like this. So let's dig into it a little bit. So first off, what's a CISO? So a CISO's job is to be a Chief Information Security Officer. That means their job is to ensure that a major corporation like Twitter is well protected against hacks and internal problems, external problems, and that they generally have a way of responding quickly to cybersecurity risk. And this is kind of something that's been created over the last decade of companies realizing that they have to take their cybersecurity liabilities more seriously. So it's a very important job at all really major Fortune 500 companies. The majority of those types of companies have someone in a role focused on the cybersecurity of their organization. So when we have a potentially inflammatory post like this, we don't know if it's real or true, where the real information is, where the disinformation is. We've got to dig into some of the details. And then and once we verify the details about who's speaking, why they're speaking, what they're telling us, we can, maybe draw some more reasonable conclusions. So let's dig into it. So this process of trying to figure out what's real on the internet, that's what a lot of people call open source intelligence. So basically, we're going to be going through a quick practice of open source intelligence to figure out if this tweet is, in fact, from the real Leah Kisner, the real CISO of Twitter. So let's go look at her profile. So here's Leah's profile. We see that they've got the check mark next to their name. We see that their username is Leah Kisner, 2 S's, and that's that. Easy to identify, right? So they now say that they're now former, okay, matches what they say in their tweet. CISO of Twitter, they tag Twitter. They say that they're in the privacy engineering organization of the company, and they have quite a few followers. So right there off the bat, that used to be enough to verify an account on Twitter, right? That they've got that Twitter mark. So let's mouse over that check mark. What does it say? So now it says account information. This account is verified because it's notable. Okay, great. So again, on Twitter, there could be a number of people who might have been verified previously for any number of reasons, for being notable, of course. And they could change their display name. So what's great here is that this person's handle matches their display name, and it's kind of challenging. You can change your handle on Twitter, but it tends to be something that people don't frequently do, and can sometimes get your account flagged if you do that a lot. So these two things match, so this seems like the real Leah Kisner. The next question is Leah Kisner the CISO of Twitter? So to that, I actually tend to look to formal reporting. So I'm going to pull up a New York Times article that I found about who the CISO of Twitter is. And then we can go look through that article and see, if this matches. So actually, here we go. So here's the New York Times article. This article is dated from January 21st, 2022. Actually, let me pull up the non-paywalled version of that. 1 second. Okay. Oops. Okay, well, not able to log in at the second. So we'll just, luckily I took a screenshot of this article earlier, but I'll also link to the article so you don't have to take my word for it. And I've also written all of this up and a blog post with appropriate links. So if you have a paid New York Times account, you can of course go and read that article. But so I've already looked at that article. I used up my free read for the day, I guess. And I was able to pull out this quote from the article where they state, Leah Kisner, Twitter's head of privacy engineering, will become the company's interim chief information security officer, according to current and former employees. They previously held security and privacy leadership roles at Google and Apple. Okay, so for me, that's enough to know that at least Leah Kisner is the correct name of the person that is the current CISO of Twitter. From that point forward, I went to go look on LinkedIn to see if there's an account that goes by the same name and well followed. So once we did that, I found this well-worn LinkedIn profile of Leah Kisner, who has quite a few followers, quite a few connections. And of course, this article, I saw this tweet happen basically in live time earlier this morning. So it seemed very unlikely that somebody would be able to quickly construct all of this background information in LinkedIn. It's kind of a longer term operation than just a quick whim to fake something on Twitter. So at least this profile exists. It has quite a few interactions. I don't feel like logging into my personal Twitter again right now. But I was able to verify that they have a lot of a base level of organic interactions, and that some of their connections look valid. So I think that this is in fact the real Leah Kisner. The real Leah Kisner has LinkedIn, and they are in fact the CISO of Twitter. So here we see on their LinkedIn profile indicating that they became CISO in January of 2022, which matches the New York Times reporting about the person of the same name. So of course, I'd love to verify that the Twitter account that we saw posting this morning has more historical connections to becoming CISO. So I went to Twitter and I searched for posts made by that same account with that same handle, Leah Kisner, L-E-A, capital K-I, 2 S's, N-E-R, right? So we found that same Twitter handle, and it also matches in the URLs. And there's actually some other ways to verify Twitter accounts. Don't feel like going that deep today. But suffice it to say, this seemed to satisfy my basic curiosity. So this is a tweet dated from April 27, 2022. Twitter's not a site that's well known for having post-dated content or the ability to go back and change. Of course, they just did roll out that edit button, so there's some real risk that somebody might be able to come back and edit an old tweet. So at least from what we can see, and knowing the old rules of Twitter at least, this person claims that they're doing trust and safety, and they tag the CEO of the company. Their account did not, one of the former board members of the company, and has content that seems to indicate that people were interacting with them historically at this time around this news. And then so I, of course, kept digging, found another tweet from the same account, this one from August 18, 2022, noting that they are in fact the new CISO. So that's typically not enough for me to be fully satisfied that I've found the right account. So I was able to then go a little bit deeper, and I looked at who liked that first post. So if you click on the likes here and scroll through these likes. So I did this, like I said, immediately after I saw that new post that I suspected might be disinformation or misinformation. And so again, it's very unlikely to, at least in my eyes, that somebody might have already dug up all this old stuff and constructed all these other historical interactions. So here we find an account by somebody named Chris Lee who liked this post. And this one caught my eye because it says that they happen to work at Twitter as well. People systems. What's people systems? So go look at that profile. Found this person, Chris Lee. They say Twitter, Twitter is somewhere they work. I was able to then find their LinkedIn profile by the same name, where they also say people services and quote unquote HR at Twitter. And of course, it was another well-worn LinkedIn profile with enough interactions that seemed plausible that the account existed before today, and had a work history that seems to align with who they purport to be online. And so finally, let's go back to Leah's profile here. So with all these things put together, it starts to add up to a picture that this may in fact be the real Leah Kisner, the true CISO of Twitter. So now we can take this tweet a little bit more seriously. What the heck does this all mean? So when you see a CISO, as we mentioned, the Chief Information Security Officer, leaving a company, what reasons might somebody in that role leave? Obviously, there's a lot of good reasons to go and find new work, lots of interesting opportunities. But of course, we're looking at an economy today that is maybe not the strongest tech economy we've seen in the last decade, right? Maybe one of the weakest times we've seen in the job market for people in technology. So it seems a little odd that somebody like Leah may leave a great paying job at a place like Twitter. And given the news that we've seen, this unfortunately reminds me of some other historical departures that ended up being a little indicative of internal challenges. So for me, I'm a little bit older than maybe some of the folks on Twitter, but I still remember Enron, and I remember that it was a big deal when their CEO left that company, and it wasn't too long thereafter that we discovered that they had all sorts of major issues. I'm not saying that Twitter has financial, fraud inside or anything like that. Certainly not suggesting that at all, but just simply suggesting that there's some stress and challenges that high-level executives are probably not interested in being part of going forward. And given some of the other information we've seen coming out of Twitter and former employees, it stands to reason that somebody of Leah's stature may no longer trust the direction of the company. So I just thought this was an interesting news, very interesting cybersecurity news, and this kind of brings me to the final point. And I posted this on my Medium, but why is it this hard to verify a Twitter executive on their own platform? So, excuse me, an ex-Twitter executive at this point. The fact that I had to undertake any amount of open source intelligence, verifying who is who, verifying when they became an employee, and all these other questions, again, like even when they have that check mark, the check mark did not provide enough information for us to trust that tweet. And if you're somebody who trades Twitter stock or things like that, you might use these types of tweets to make choices. So I think it's very important for companies like Twitter to tamp down disinformation and misinformation. And it's pretty clear that the new verification process is kind of spinning in the wind at this disinformation challenge. So just wanted to draw your attention to this. Thought it was very interesting technology and executive and corporate news today. And wanted to kind of put a plug in there for Mastodon. If you're a Twitter user who doesn't know about Mastodon, Mastodon is a new platform. And actually, it's been around for a minute, but it's newly being visited. I've been tracking the rise of Mastodon amongst my followers and friends on Twitter, and I'm seeing a sharp increase in the friends who have adopted Mastodon. So if you'd like, you can follow me on Mastodon. I'm at nullagent at fostodon.org, and I'll post that in the down below as well. Please give me a follow. Be sure to follow, subscribe, like, and share the video, all of those great things. And if you have the time and dollars, I'd love your $8. Don't give them to Elon, give them to a black technologist like myself. You can do that by clicking on one of the links below. And with your $8, we can educate people about cybersecurity. We can teach people about technology. And I'm actually working on platforms of my own to replace things like Twitter. And I would very much love your support. You may not be aware, but today in the technology space, in venture capital, Black Americans receive 0.4% of the total multi-hundred billion dollar market of venture capital. That means people like myself, regardless of my skills, regardless of how many tweets I send, right? We don't get term sheets. We get nothing. We get 0.4% of what a white male gets in America, an investment. And I could use your help. Don't support Elon Musk. Follow me on Mastodon and send me your $8. Thanks for listening. Catch you later.